it's been pretty much in flood for relentlessly for 12 months. We've got around 140 volunteers or members out there helping the community and doing those flood rescues. Just overnight, we've had another 11 flood rescues. And so, each day it adds up, and really, really important for the community to understand their risk. You have some great vision there about, the rivers. They come up very quickly, fast flowing, very dangerous. And, not everyone drives into floodwaters. Some do. So we ask that they don't do that. But sometimes they're caught unknowingly between floodwaters, and we have to go and rescue them. The other areas that we're really concentrating on is helping those farmers out there with their animals, their pumps, and just making sure we get the information out and we help them when they need the assistance from New South Wales SES.
Yeah, Commissioner, we're seeing some of that vision now, and that the volume of water is just tremendous. What do you say to anyone who inadvertently finds themselves stuck in one of these situations where the water's risen quite quickly?
Yeah, so obviously, first of all, to know that risk. So there's lots of information being put out by the Bureau and ourselves of warnings in particular areas. But if you do find yourself stranded or water coming in, obviously try and get to safety. Ring 000, that is for life-threatening assistance, and we will get someone out there as soon as possible. We're working with other emergency service agencies, so we're covering a lot of ground with a lot of resources. But also not just vehicles, but homes get affected. And as I said, animals get affected. So be prepared, move the animals now, have a emergency kit that you can take with you from home, and have some plans in place. Really, really important to listen to our messages and do what we ask of you at the time, because we're sending those messages out to save your life or the lives of families, and what people love, their pets or their animals that their business relies on.
I want to get to you in a moment to expand on the new warning system that's about to come in as part of that broader conversation around the messaging that you were just talking about. But this weather condition right now comes as we heard the Bureau declare this the third La Nina, as you mentioned. Given this is happening right at that same time, what are you expecting over summer?
Yeah, well, it is storm season between October and March, and we are expecting much greater rains due to this forecast for La Nina. It is also, the threat of flooding is real out there in the community. And we've got to look at what weather we've had over the last 12 to 18 months. It's been relentless rain. So the rivers are at capacity, the dams are at capacity, the ground is saturated. So the water that comes from the sky just has nowhere to go. And so it turns into riverine flooding, and it turns into flash flooding. So we are expecting, a lot more rain this storm season. But of course, hoping, and the Bureau is saying that there is a chance not as heavy as we've had, and particularly seen in those February, March floods earlier this year. But it will be, a typical storm season with additional water. So, we're very much preparing the community for what might come.
What do you say to anyone that might be in those particularly flood-prone areas that have had that inundation of water and a lot of it is still around? What do you say to them about preparations that can be made now?
There's a number of things that they can do, and I think we have to remember that no two floods are the same. We've seen some massive records broken over the last 6 months, not only in the February, March, but we've had 2 significant flood events since then. With new records in different areas across the state. We want people to understand what their risk is, so make some inquiries now. We've seen that some areas that are close to flooded areas in the past are now getting flooded, so don't assume that because you haven't been affected before, if you are near those flood risk areas, be aware. And make sure, as I said, you have that emergency kit. So there's a number of things, obviously your documents, make sure there's a torch in your house that works, battery-operated radio, just in case the power goes out. That's a real risk. And if you're caught away from home and you have animals, make sure you have a neighbour that you can call on. Look out for your neighbours as well. So some people aren't as able to move quickly. And when you hear a warning, when you hear an evacuation warning, that is a real risk that you may be affected, whether inundation in your home or roads cut off and your evacuation route cut off. So I'd rather see people move out of their home for 24 hours and come back and say, well, my home's okay, it's fine, than be stuck there, because At the time when the flooding's happening, when there's a large demand on our resources, it's only obvious that we can get around to so many people in a particular period of time. So be prepared, take some action, and look after each other is important. Also, we do set up evacuation centres, but with COVID and with the events of the last couple of years, we do say try and go to friends and family if you can, but there will be evacuation centres set up if there is an evacuation order.